Every level of Omega level mutant, explained. Level 1, Powerhouse Death, Son of Apocalypse. Araco raised its gods through war, and none embodied that more than death. The skull-masked heir of Apocalypse. He didn't rule from a throne, he ruled from a battlefield. When X of Swords unfolded, Death led the first horseman across dimensions with a blade that drank life and left the ground itself rotting. His aura of decay wasn't metaphorical. Step too close and flesh peeled like burned paper. On Araco, that power made him a living myth, the perfect soldier in a world where survival was worship. Unlike the silent brutes who followed him, Death fought with ceremony. He called every duel sacred, every kill a prayer. In the Siege of Dryador, his necrotic field erased armies faster than any bomb. Even Apocalypse treated him with the respect of equals, not blood. Yet his strength belonged to an older code, one that glorified endings. When he faced Krakoa's champions, his downfall came not through weakness, but through a changing age. On an island where resurrection erased mortality, his philosophy had no place left to stand. His power remained, but its meaning dissolved. The Son of Apocalypse died as he lived, on his feet, blade raised, swallowed by the very decay he commanded. Iceman. He started out as the team prankster, the kid tossing snowballs while Cyclops barked orders and Wolverine growled in corners. For years, Iceman was a nickname that sold toys, not terror. Then, the world caught up to what he really was, a climate system wearing human skin. Modern Iceman can manipulate temperature at the atomic level. He not only freezes water, but tell energy to stop existing. Whole oceans obey. He's reformed his body after vaporization, turned atmospheric humidity into an army of ice clones, and dropped regional temperatures in minutes. During the Apocalypse Wars, he created duplicates across continents, each a thinking extension of himself. On Krakoa, he became the island's environmental control system, sculpting glaciers, stabilizing weather, and weaponizing blizzards. The craziest part? He's still growing. His evolution mirrors his own acceptance. For decades, he joked through self-doubt and repressed identity. Once he came out and embraced who he was, his powers exploded in scope. The stronger his confidence, the colder the planet gets. Writers have described him as functionally immortal. His consciousness can disperse through vapor and reform anywhere moisture exists. There's also the quiet terror of his potential. He could end global warming by accident, or trigger a new ice age if he lost control. Magneto once admitted Bobby might be the single most dangerous Omega alive if he stopped holding back. Level 2, Masterclass, Mr. M. In District 10, people whispered about a man who could heal a city with his hands. He was less a hero and more an urban legend. He lived alone in a rundown apartment, barefoot, quiet, fixing everything from broken toasters to broken people. His mutation blurred every scientific line. Matter, energy, and thought were all clay to him. In one story, he restored an entire block destroyed by gang violence. The asphalt repaired itself, bodies revived, and the air shimmered like the world had rebooted. His power made him one of the few mutants who could casually defy physics, but he hated attention. While most Omegas chased purpose through politics or war, Mr. M stayed hidden. When the Krakoan era began, Magneto and Xavier wanted him on their side, and even they had to ask politely. He declined the council seat, not out of arrogance, but because he saw where it led. He knew what happened when people like him stopped asking, should we, and only asked, can we? His limits aren't known. He's turned bullets into butterflies, vaporized armies, and resurrected people from dust. Yet his story always ends the same way. He walks away, a god who'd rather be left alone. That makes him dangerous in a different way. You can fight someone who wants control. You can't fight someone who's already past it. Proteus. He was born with reality too fragile to hold him. Moira McTaggart, his mother, called him gifted. The rest of the world called him a threat. He replaces reality. Physics, gravity, life, death, they're suggestions around him. But the gift comes with a curse. Every body he inhabits burns out like a light bulb. He jumps from one host to another, leaving nothing but ashes behind. When he escaped confinement on Muir Island, entire towns warped into nightmares. The X-Men fought him, but every hit landed in a different universe for a split second. Only metal could contain him. His powers couldn't rewrite it. It took Colossus, literally made of steel, to end his rampage. Years later, Krakoa changed everything. Proteus joined the Five, the mutant team that conquered death. His ability to manipulate matter made him the architect of resurrection. He shapes the cloned shells that house reborn souls. The same energy that once destroyed bodies now creates them. Still, his condition persists. Each vessel decays over time, forcing him to rebuild himself again and again. Even with all his genius, he remains caught between brilliance and decay. He's a cosmic painter whose canvas burns the moment he touches it. Yet in Krakoa's strange new world, that impermanence gives mutants immortality. The boy who couldn't survive his own mutation became the cornerstone of life itself. Level 3, Unstoppable, Elixir. His mutation started as something simple, healing, a golden touch that could close wounds and restore life. But under the surface, that ability grew into something much stranger. He can manipulate biological structure at will. Cells, DNA, organs, he rewrites them. Early in his days with the new X-Men, he was the team medic who didn't realize he was carrying the blueprint for evolution itself. As his confidence grew, so did the range of his power. He learned to cure diseases instantly, regrow limbs, and even revive the dead. But the real revelation came when his skin turned black, a visual signal that he'd tapped into the opposite side of his gift, the power to kill. With a single touch, he could shut down a person's organs or end their life on a cellular level. The same hands that could resurrect could just as easily erase. On Krakoa, he became essential to the resurrection protocols. Alongside Proteus, Hope, Tempest, and Egg, he gives life back to mutants daily, his biology control ensuring that every revived body functions perfectly. He's a genetic engineer, fine-tuning evolution in real time. When threats rise against Krakoa, his power turns defensive. He's created virus-resistant immune systems, neutralized poisons, and countered genetic weapons designed to kill mutants. What makes him terrifying is precision. He decides how biology behaves. In a world where death has become routine, he turned healing into an art form that borders on divine. Exodus. Centuries before mutants had nations or names for their kind, a crusader knight discovered that faith could bend reality. Bennett du Paris, now called Exodus, fought alongside Apocalypse in the 12th century and emerged immortal. His mutation grants him telekinesis, telepathy, and energy manipulation at Omega levels. But his real weapon is conviction. His power strengthens the more he believes. In the Middle Ages, he called it divine purpose. In the modern world, it became mutant destiny. Every time Exodus fights for mutant kind, his faith transforms him into a one-man army. He's levitated cities, created psychic shields that could hold back armies, and once obliterated the Acolyte's enemies in a single thought. Yet what makes him endure through centuries is doctrine. He's a zealot who treats evolution as prophecy. On Krakoa, he reinvented himself as both guardian and preacher. Children gather around him to hear stories of Magneto, of sacrifice and resurrection, their faith feeding his strength. In battles like Sins of Sinister, he's shown ripping through armies with telekinetic force that shatters the sky. To him, leadership and holiness are the same thing. Every era finds him reborn, armored in belief, chasing a perfect mutant future that only exists in myth. He's both prophet and weapon, and unlike most telekinetics, he never doubts. That's why he endures when others burn out. Level 4, World Shaker, Vulcan. He was engineered for battle, bred in a Shi'ar incubation chamber, and aged to adulthood in months. He was the Summer's brother no one knew existed until he returned angry enough to scar galaxies. His mutation grants control over every known form of energy: heat, radiation, electricity, even magical and cosmic sources. If it exists as power, Vulcan can absorb it, twist it, or explode it back out tenfold. When Xavier's first rescue team was lost, Gabriel was presumed dead. Years later, he re-emerged with a vendetta and the raw strength to make the universe listen. In the rise and fall of the Shi'ar Empire, Vulcan stormed across space, dethroned Empress Lilandra, and crowned himself emperor. He waged wars not for conquest but for validation, desperate to prove that the Summer's name began and ended with him. His battles shattered fleets, his energy storms devoured planets, and for a brief moment, Vulcan stood higher than any mutant in existence. But absolute power met its mirror in instability. His rage fueled him as much as energy did, burning through reason until he turned on his own empire. The fall was just as violent as the rise. Krakoa later brought him back, and for a while, he played the role of loyal citizen. Yet cracks appeared again. He spoke to voices no one else heard, questioned the sky, and claimed the sun whispered to him. In the X-Men Red era, those whispers turned to violence. Vulcan unleashed stellar-level destruction once more, proving that control was never his strength, only magnitude. Monarch. He was born into royalty but thinks in dreams, not politics. The eldest of the Braddock siblings, brother to Captain Britain and Psylocke, he is a mutant whose power rewrites causality itself. To him, reality is a set of threads hanging in the air. Tug one and time changes. Snap another and people disappear. The terrifying part is that he can see these threads constantly, even when he sleeps. That vision slowly drove him mad. His mutation gives him total control over reality, yet it's filtered through a mind that no longer separates imagination from existence. In one storyline, he turned enemies into cartoon animals just because the thought amused him. In another, he restructured himself into energy and ruled Otherworld as its unpredictable monarch. The name fits. Not for his crown, but for the chaos he brings to every world unlucky enough to host him. Despite the insanity, he isn't aimless. When Krakoa and the multiverse collided, he used his abilities to protect Britain's dimensional borders, even crafting pocket universes as prisons or escape routes. His siblings learned long ago that controlling him is impossible. You can only hope his whims align with survival. He's the definition of unstable omnipotence, a man whose dreams bleed into waking life. Where Vulcan burns the cosmos with raw energy, Monarch rewrites the rulebook itself. himself. Level 5, Legendary, Magneto. Long before Krakoa, before the asteroid bases and mutant nations, there was just a boy standing in a concentration camp watching the world prove his fears right. That moment never left Eric Lenscher. It became the core of everything he built and everything he destroyed. His control over magnetism is command over electromagnetic force itself. The same energy that shapes planets and powers suns bends under his will. He's raised satellites into orbit, reversed nuclear missiles mid-flight, and once stopped the Earth's rotation long enough to make nations panic. In Ultimatum, he shifted the planet's magnetic poles, causing natural disasters across the globe. But Magneto's most defining acts didn't come from chaos. They came from belief. His power has always served his ideology, that mutants must survive no matter the cost. On Krakoa, he evolved from terrorist to statesman, standing beside Xavier as a co-founder of a sovereign mutant nation. Even his armor, a blend of regality and threat, symbolized that balance between savior and warning. When he fell in Judgment Day, facing Uranos alone, it wasn't a quiet death. His heart literally stopped, yet his electromagnetic field kept his body fighting until the last breath. The ground trembled as he died on his feet, holding the line for mutant kind. Few Omegas command the elements, even fewer inspire entire civilizations. Magneto does both. Hope Summers. Mutant kind calls her the Mutant Messiah, and it's not hyperbole. She was the first new mutant born after M-Day, and the event that wiped out nearly all mutant genes. Her birth reignited evolution itself, turning her into both miracle and target. Trained by Cable in a post-apocalyptic future, Hope grew up with warfare as her education. By the time she returned to the present, she was evolution's spark-made flesh. Her mutation allows her to mimic and amplify the powers of any mutant nearby, syncing multiple abilities at once. It's why the X-Men view her as the central circuit in Krakoa's resurrection protocols. She doesn't just copy the Five's powers, she enhances and stabilizes them, ensuring every reborn mutant returns perfect. She's fought side by side with legends like Cyclops, wielding borrowed power combinations that would kill most hosts. Telekinesis, flame, healing, all harmonized through instinct. Her influence goes beyond combat. Her presence rekindled faith in a species that had stopped believing in its own future. During Avengers vs. X-Men, even the Phoenix Force sought her out, drawn to her as a vessel capable of restoring balance. She carried that burden with focus and turned it into strength, mastering it completely. Level 6, God Tier, Storm. Before she ever met the X-Men, people already worshipped her. In the plains of Kenya, farmers prayed to the sky and the sky answered. Her mutation links her to the planet's atmosphere, allowing her to experience and command the weather as if it were part of her own body. Every gust, every cloud, every spark of lightning is part of her nervous system. Her command covers every layer of climate and energy: wind, heat, humidity, pressure, even the electrical pulse of storms. She can create tornadoes that flatten cities, clear droughts in seconds, and calm tempests with a single breath. In her early days, she once brought rain to a village suffering from years of famine. Decades later, she's balanced planetary ecosystems, controlled solar winds in space, and even fought off cosmic storms that could shred starships. But power has never been the story with Storm. Control has. She's an Omega who understands restraint like few others. Her empathy for nature keeps her from abusing what she calls the divine circuit. In Uncanny X-Men, she once refused to strike a foe with lightning because the fight took place over drought-stricken soil. Her compassion literally dictates the weather. When Forge's invention stole her powers, she didn't fade. She led the X-Men without them, proving leadership wasn't tied to lightning. She's since ruled Wakanda, captained the Marauders, and now governs the planet Arakko, the mutant terraformed Mars. She moved there and transformed the planet itself, building its sky, reshaping its air, and making it breathable for millions. When challenged by the Iraqi, she faced them without using her powers, winning by spirit alone. Her divinity comes from mastery of nature, of will, and of herself. On Krakoa, even Magneto bowed his head and said, "She is the storm." And he wasn't wrong. Legion. If Storm rules the weather, Legion rules reality's software. He was born a god trapped inside 1,000 broken mirrors. Each reflection is one of his alternate personalities, and each of those personalities holds a unique Omega-level ability: telepathy, time manipulation, matter reconstruction, dimensional warping. His brain is a psychic metropolis where every resident can destroy the world. As a child, David's powers manifested violently, killing terrorists during a psychic episode. The trauma shattered his mind, and every new personality that formed took control of a different power. Over time, he became a living multiverse. Inside his head are entire landscapes, cities, and civilizations built from thought alone. When one persona takes over, David gains its power and loses control to it. In Legion Quest and Age of X, he bent time itself, accidentally erasing thousands of lives while trying to prove himself to his father. In another reality, he reshaped the timeline so drastically that Magneto led the X-Men. That's Legion's curse. Every emotion risks rewriting existence. Yet, on Krakoa, he found direction. Under Nightcrawler's guidance, he built built the Altar, a sanctuary for mutant minds lost in psychic space, a city floating in the astral plane powered entirely by his consciousness. It's both church and firewall, a place where the boundaries between souls stay intact because he wills it so. When demons or cosmic entities invade psychic reality, he fights them in every direction at once, splitting his mind across infinite perspectives. He remains unstable, yet he's learning to exist within the constant noise. Where others reshape worlds for ego, Legion does it simply to survive. Quentin Quire. He was the kid who thought he could outthink the X-Men, and maybe he was right. A telepath classified Omega before he could legally drive, Quentin's power was limitless, but his attitude was nuclear. He read minds like gossip columns, started riots at Xavier's school, and formed the Omega Gang because, in his words, the X-Men think too small. His telepathy goes beyond reading minds. It allows him to shape and mold thoughts themselves. He crafts psychic weapons, shields, and even full-scale illusions that can last for hours. During Phoenix Endsong, a spark of the Phoenix Force resurrected him, turning him into living psionic energy. Since then, he's died and resurrected more times than any mutant alive, each return strengthening his power and his disconnection from humanity. Krakoa changed him. Serving on X-Force, he began channeling his abilities into tactical warfare, assassinations, espionage, mental overwrites. He learned to weaponize imagination itself. Enemies trapped in Quentin's psychic fields live through entire lifetimes in seconds, tortured or enlightened depending on his mood. Its creativity turned lethal. Despite his arrogance, Quentin's story is about reluctant growth. He's evolved from rebel student to cosmic-level protector. When he merged with the psychic remnants of other resurrected versions of himself, he gained near-omniscient awareness, existing as multiple minds in parallel. He's essentially a one-man hive mind, part philosopher, part prankster, part executioner. Even gods in Marvel lore learn to respect him now. When the Phoenix Force reappeared, it didn't destroy him. It chose him again. He represents a new era of Omega power, mutants born to expand the very limits of thought itself. Level 7 Reality Breaker Jean Grey. From her earliest days as one of Xavier's first students, her telekinesis and telepathy made her special, but what she eventually became, that was something beyond mutant classification. When the Phoenix Force found her, it rewrote the definition of power. Suddenly, she went beyond moving objects or reading minds, reaching a point where she could command the very fabric of life and death itself. Her telepathy alone could link every mind on the planet. She's navigated psychic wars that played out like apocalyptic dreams, pulling consciousness itself into battle. Her telekinesis has operated on atomic precision, capable of stopping molecules from vibrating or manipulating matter across continents. But it's the Phoenix Bond that turned her from Omega to something cosmic. During the Dark Phoenix saga, she consumed a star to save herself, and in doing so, destroyed an entire solar system. That one act made her both goddess and threat. What makes her compelling is resurrection. Across eras, she's been reborn more times than any other mutant, each time returning sharper, wiser, and more in control of forces that could erase existence. In the Krakoa age, she operates without the Phoenix, yet retains that same terrifying scale. She rebuilds bodies telepathically, holds conversations across galaxies, and still finds time to sit with younger mutants in peace. Franklin Richards. Born to Reed Richards and Sue Storm, Franklin was destined to outgrow everyone in his family, and he did. His powers emerged before he even understood what they were, bending reality around him like soft clay. He once dreamed of a universe, and that universe came into being. Galactus called him an equal. Celestials studied him as a peer. Franklin doesn't manipulate matter or energy. He decides how both behave. His childhood feats border on myth. He created a pocket universe to save the Fantastic Four when they were presumed dead, reshaped galaxies to fit his imagination, and rebuilt, destroyed realities after multiversal collapses. To him, physics is optional. The laws of existence are mere guidelines. Even cosmic entities like Eternity and the Living Tribunal acknowledge his potential as one of the rare beings who could rewrite the Marvel cosmos entirely. But with that power came loneliness. His gift separated him from everyone else, even mutants. Now older, his powers have faded somewhat, but that doesn't diminish the scale of what he's done. He's been architect, protector, and destroyer all at once. The child who once created worlds now learning to live in one. And that's it. Now to you, if every Omega mutant vanished tomorrow, which one would leave the biggest hole in the Marvel universe? Comment down below, leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this one.